Hey, it's John. Welcome back to my channel, and today I've got part one of a three-part series I'm doing documenting the 119 miles of construction in the San Joaquin Valley as part of the California High-Speed Rail program. So part one will focus on construction package one, which begins here in the south at the East American Avenue grade separation just south of Fresno. The other two videos in this series will focus on construction package 2-3 and then finally construction package 4. And I'm kind of thinking about combining all three construction packages together into one long video, which is probably going to be about 2.5 hours worth of content. And I'll probably just do that long video with music only and not the voiceover commentary like I'm doing right now. And I'm not going to write a script out for this commentary. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie. This is like the fourth time I'm sitting down trying to record this. And it just hasn't turned out exactly the way I'd like it, but it would take way too long to write a script for it. So if you want to stick around and watch it, I would really appreciate you subscribing because, like I said, there are going to be a few more videos in this series. So even though there are so many grade separations in this project, not every road is going to be replaced with a grade separation, and some will be closed ultimately, such as Malaga Avenue like we just passed. So just north of this pile of concrete that I'm sure will be eventually recycled is Central Avenue. And on the south side of Central Avenue, we can see a canal culvert that has been recently completed. That was not there last year when I documented this project. And Central Avenue will be replaced with a grade separation, but given the confined right-of-way that Central Avenue takes up between the canal and the water treatment ponds, 3 of the 4 quadrants of this grade separation are going to be not earth bank fill. They will actually be retaining walls, most likely mechanically stabilized earth retaining walls. And just north of Central Avenue, the high-speed rail embankment will be rising up in advance of the viaduct that will carry the trains into southern Fresno. So first we have this short little viaduct section, which is basically like a huge box culvert that I'm sure will provide access to this industrial area, followed by a section of mechanically stabilized earth retaining wall that is actually, you can see the earth stabilization grid fabric in there. They were laying it down when I shot this video. And here we're flying over the Muscat Avenue viaduct, followed by another section of MSE wall where we can see the foundations have been installed, and a canal culvert has been built for the North Central Canal. And finally, here we are at the Cedar Viaduct, which is not quite complete. The majority of the work still left on this viaduct is involved with the arched section over SR 99, which we are passing directly over. And the Cedar Viaduct gets its name from Cedar Avenue off there to the left, that 2-lane roadway. Cedar Avenue viaduct is a huge structure. I believe it's about 3,700 feet long. So very substantial. And just north of the viaduct section, we can see a short little break, which will be bridged with another MSE retaining wall section, followed by another shorter viaduct that will carry the high-speed trains over Golden State Boulevard. So this, even though I documented almost the entire 119 miles of construction with my drone, here is the only gap in the drone footage, and that was because we were entering the airspace for Fresno Executive Airport, and just to play it safe, I didn't want to fly my drone through that airspace, so I am substituting it with some ground video. So here we are turning towards the north, and we can see the decorative arch section. The cast-in-place girders are now complete, so I'm sure they'll be moving on to those arches very shortly. And just north of the arched section over SR 99, we can see a short section of retaining wall that still needs to be built on top of the viaduct, and we can see that rebar has been placed for those, and possibly even some forms have been set. So as we take a look at the Cedar Viaduct from the ground, notice the circles. That's part of the design language that is incorporated into all of the viaduct and wall structures on the California High-Speed Rail project to date. So here we are driving north on Golden State Boulevard and passing under the viaduct. We can see that the superstructure for this viaduct is completely framed out. Not exactly sure how much concrete has been poured on top, but it's good to see that because last year when I filmed it, they were still installing false work for that concrete forming. So they've definitely made a lot of progress on that. Here we are on Railroad Boulevard, Railroad Avenue, and this is essentially going to be the right-of-way of the high-speed trains coming into Fresno at ground level. This roadway will obviously be removed, and the high-speed trains will pass under Jensen Boulevard. So Jensen Boulevard Viaduct will not have to be rebuilt, which is good because they've still got quite a bit of work left especially in Fresno area. And we can see that this road is obviously not in very good shape because it's going to be removed. And it appears that there's probably some ongoing utility relocation off to the left there in advance of the high-speed tracks, high-speed rail right-of-way getting prepared. So here at Church Avenue, a large grade separation like we see there at Jensen Avenue in the distance will be built to carry Church Avenue over the high-speed rail tracks, the Union Pacific, and the BNSF tracks, which we can see there, Calwa Yard there off to the left. And those BNSF tracks continue to run on the east side of downtown through Fresno. So that means because the San Joaquins actually run over the BNSF, that the San Joaquin station going forward will still be a bit of a walk. It won't be connected, so I'm sure whenever high-speed trains start running, they will probably introduce some kind of modified bus service to connect the two stations. But here we are going north again. You can see that Railroad Avenue off to the right there is going to be removed again, just like it was south of Church Avenue. And I believe that Golden State Boulevard was actually the alignment of State Route 99 before the new freeway section of SR 99 was built. And so that's why there are so many motels lining Golden State Boulevard throughout Fresno, because obviously motels sprang up in the 50s and 60s and kind of the heyday and peak of automobile culture as it was all springing up. So here we have State Route 41. I believe that's the Yosemite Freeway. I don't believe any modifications will have to be made to the freeway structure. I believe that those viaducts are tall enough for high-speed rail to slip in underneath. High-speed rail's not loading gauge, but gauge of their track profile is 24 feet high, and the freight railroad tracks are 23 foot 6 inches high. So here we are at the first underpass to be constructed in downtown Fresno, and this is at Ventura Street. We can see that the intersection there at G and Ventura has been removed because the intersection of G Street will have to be somewhat lowered to match the profile of Ventura as it's exiting underneath the high-speed rail bridges, which will be built, I believe, just to the left of those temporary tracks. Those temporary tracks are obviously the shoe fly tracks that will carry the Union Pacific freight trains over while the underpasses are being excavated in the right-of-way of the existing Ventura Street grade crossing. And just north of Ventura, Mono Street was not actually, they had to repave it. It did not go through last year when I filmed this. So obviously Mono Street was put back into service because Ventura Street was closed, as well as Tulare Street up ahead, which is the next underpass that's going to be built in downtown Fresno. And we can see that the shoe fly tracks with the crossover and the yard lead switch have basically been replicated to limit the impact to freight trains as much as possible. Here at Tulare Street, we can see the old Southern Pacific Depot off to the right, and the plans are still in place, I believe, for the High Speed Rail Authority to purchase that depot, which is currently being used as offices. I don't believe they have any affiliation with the railroad. And of course, a new modern high-speed rail station will be constructed, and the old depot will be renovated and tied into the new station. A pedestrian bridge and elevators will, of course, have to be built to carry passengers over the Union Pacific tracks and to the high-speed rail platforms, which will be built off to the left, basically in the alignment of those temporary shoe fly tracks. And of course, high-speed rail station will have at least 4 tracks, so 2 high-speed through-running tracks will allow express trains to not have to stop. Here at the Fresno Street undercrossing, that will have to be modified because, like I said, the high-speed rail tracks will be built off to the left of the UP, so the profile of the roadway will have to be lowered so that for the high-speed rail bridges. So here we have the first completed structure that was part of the high-speed rail program, and that is the Tuolumne Street overpass. Originally, both Tuolumne and Stanislaus Street overpass to the north were scheduled to be replaced as they were both one-way streets, but it was later decided to replace Tuolumne Street and rebuild it as a two-way street and remove and replace the Stanislaus Street bridge in the future if the city of Fresno decides they want to do that. So between the two bridges, I see some heavy-duty steel girders, which I believe they might be going towards the rail bridges that will carry the trains over the three undercrossings at Ventura, Tulare, and Fresno Avenue. And just north of the Stanislaus Street Bridge, we see this industrial track that has already been abandoned and will be removed because the high-speed rail tracks will actually be entering the Fresno Trench at this point. The Fresno Trench is approximately a 2-mile long section of track that will carry the high-speed trains under State Route 180, as well as the Union Pacific Y at Canal and Belmont Avenue. Divisadero Street here will be removed and not replaced with a grade separation. And just north of Divisadero is the SR 180 trench, which has been substantially complete since 2019, I believe. The SR 180 passageway is essentially a very short cut and cover tunnel that required the shifting of traffic lanes above on SR 180, but traffic remained open throughout construction. But we don't appear to have much work on the tunnel section under the Union Pacific Y and Canal, which is somewhat unfortunate, but I'm sure that will be moving forward before too long. Between the two legs of the Y, we see that section of the trench is basically finished. This was constructed with secant piling walls, and the dirt was obviously excavated, and those precast girders were installed to provide support. Between the high-speed rail tracks and the Union Pacific tracks, we see intrusion protection barrier walls. Those are very substantial walls that will prevent against freight trains entering the high-speed rail right-of-way if they derail on the freight tracks. Here at Belmont Avenue, this roundabout and underpass will both be completely removed, as well as Golden State Boulevard north of Belmont Avenue. Because the high-speed trains will still be in the trench at this point, they would conflict with the existing Belmont Avenue underpass, so that underpass is going to be removed and an overpass is going to be built. Off to the left is the Fresno Chaffee Zoo, and up ahead is the Olive Avenue grade separation. There doesn't appear to be any work on it, but again, another large bridge will be built to carry traffic on Olive Avenue over the high-speed rail tracks and the UP tracks. North of Olive Avenue, we see the realignment of Motel Drive or Golden State Boulevard. You can see off to the left, the right-of-way has been prepared and cleared. There have been a lot of motels in this area that were removed, and it appears that those electrical lines still have to be relocated and before final paving work can begin. But I believe the right-of-way of Motel Drive will be shifted off to the left, and the high-speed rail tracks will be built basically on the alignment of the current roadway. Here at McKinley Avenue, another grade separation will be built to carry traffic over the tracks. And just north of McKinley, we see the now completed State Route 99 realignment project, so you can see the approximate profile of the new alignment of Motel Drive and further on Golden State Boulevard. The SR9 realignment project was completed in January of 2019. Caltrans oversaw this project, and it removed, rebuilt, and realigned approximately 2 miles of State Route 99, which, as you can see, is quite a substantial freeway through Fresno. Additionally, the interchanges at Clinton and Ashland Avenue also had to be reconstructed, and this was to provide right-of-way for high-speed trains to travel between SR 99 and the Union Pacific Rail Yard that you can see off to the right. I believe that because the high-speed rail tracks are still so close to the UP tracks at this point, that this entire section will have to have intrusion protection barrier walls built, like we saw further south at the trench, and we will see more of those north of Fresno. Some of those are still under construction. Throughout Fresno, we see large retention ponds like the one off to the left. I believe those are owned by the Fresno Water District and probably help with flooding in the event of large rainfalls. Because throughout the entire Central Valley, there are signs everywhere saying that flooding may occur when it rains, and that's why the entire high-speed rail alignment is being built on a raised embankment, and several drainage culverts are being built at regular intervals underneath the elevated high-speed rail embankment to prevent the washing out of the alignment. So here north of Ashland Avenue, we see the alignment of the future Golden State Boulevard realignment. The right-of-way has been cleared off to the left, again, just like we saw with Motel Drive, and the tracks will be built approximately on the location of Golden State Boulevard. Again, it looks like there may still be some residual utilities that have to be relocated. We can see those power lines. I'm guessing those probably have to go, although there are several poles. Maybe they've already installed new lines. I'm not exactly sure. Most utility companies aren't very forthcoming with information on the utility relocations. It's pretty much the most boring aspect of large infrastructure projects like this, but the devil is in the details, and they are a huge part of the overall project, even though many times they're all underground and unseen. So here at Shaw Avenue, there will be yet another grade separation to carry Shaw Avenue over the high-speed rail and Union Pacific tracks. I'm not exactly sure if the intersection with Golden State Boulevard will be elevated to meet at grade with Shaw Avenue, or how this intersection is all going to work. I just know that it's going to be quite a substantial project, and there has been some utility relocation and possibly some ongoing utility work there off to the left. But other than that, there doesn't appear to be a whole lot of work done yet. And just north of Shaw, we can see a small segment of Golden State Boulevard has already been realigned, and this is because the canal crossing has been completed for the future alignment of Golden State Boulevard. And here at the intersection of Golden State Boulevard and Barstow Avenue, I believe Golden State Boulevard will actually be rerouted off to the left. You can see that area of dirt between those industrial buildings off to the left. I believe that will be the future alignment of Golden State Boulevard, because you can see that there isn't nearly enough space for both the high-speed rail tracks and the road north of this intersection. So it will be interesting to see that project once it moves forward. I'm sure there's been ongoing utility work on that new alignment of Golden State Boulevard, but I really can't tell if there's been much work done from my video that I took last year. So here with all these trucks, these dump trucks, I'm sure that these are probably associated with the project in some way. I may be wrong, but seems to be a lot of equipment. So if not, I'm sure that concrete facility off to the left is probably associated with the high-speed rail project. And you can see the future alignment of Golden State Boulevard kind of snaking through that area and around this new roadway that is being built, which is the Veterans Parkway. Last year, Veterans Parkway, the MSC retaining wall abutments were still just kind of being started, The grade had been built up, but Veterans Parkway is a new roadway that will eventually extend west of SR 99. I don't believe there will be an interchange built, but it will be another route for traffic to get across SR 99 and of course the high-speed rail tracks. And this bridge deck appears to be largely complete, so it's good to see some projects are definitely moving forward. And you can see where Veterans Avenue will extend off to the northeast. So we can see that the future alignment of Golden State Boulevard has rejoined the current alignment of the high-speed rail tracks. And you can look off to the north and see where the tracks will be running, as they will run straight into the Fresno River Viaduct. So here at Herndon Avenue, a new intersection will have to be built because Herndon Avenue will actually pass underneath the high-speed rail tracks slightly. And as the high-speed rail tracks have already begun to raise in advance of, like I said, the San Joaquin River Viaduct just ahead. So the San Joaquin River Viaduct is the largest structure in construction package 1, and it's really hard to get a sense of how big this structure is without seeing it in person. But at 4,700 feet, it's almost a mile long, so probably about 1.4 kilometers long. It's a truly massive structure. And you can see off to the left of the pergola that the new northbound ramp of SR 99 has been graded, and I'm sure that appears to be that it's going to be paved very shortly. So now we're crossing over the Union Pacific tracks, and we will be running through the country until we rejoin the BNSF tracks just south of Madera. Here at the actual crossing over the San Joaquin River, we see a decorative arched section, and this is to signify the northern gateway into the Fresno area, similar to the way that the bridge over SR 99 symbolized the southern gateway into the Fresno area. So even though these structures are largely utilitarian, it is nice to see that they tried to make them a little bit more beautiful to the traveling public. Off to the left, we see a massive dirt borrow site. Obviously, for all of these grade separations and for the raised high-speed rail embankment, there has been a massive amount of dirt that has been needed to be moved, and so I'm sure there have been multiple borrow sites across the project. Here at Avenue 7, we can see this was one of the more complicated grade separations, as we are right next to SR 99, which has its interchange with Avenue 7, and Road 33 also had to be realigned to meet the Avenue 7 at grade. So keep in mind the shape of this grade separation, because I believe that a similar intersection will be built north of here at Avenue 9. So here are some of those drainage culverts that will help with flooding that I talked about earlier. Just south of the Avenue 8 overcrossing, we see this road, which is essentially a driveway, and of course that will be removed before the tracks are built, because this Central Valley section is of course being built without any grade separations. So here we see the Avenue 8 grade separation, which is complete and open to traffic. Just north of Avenue 8, we see an agricultural undercrossing, and this was necessary to be built because there are no north-south county roads on the west side of the high-speed rail tracks in this location, as SR 99 is still just off to our left side. Here at Avenue 9, we see that little work has been done except for the clearing of the right-of-way of the future grade separation. Like I said, I believe this will be a similar grade separation to Avenue 7, and Road 32 there off to the right, heading north, will probably be rerouted to the east to run into Avenue 9 at grade. You can see a Tutor Perini water truck there, so I would imagine that construction on this grade separation will probably be ramping up here very soon. It looks like there may be some ongoing utility work that needs to be done. There are still some power lines, obviously, but it does appear that work is ongoing in this site. Here between the Avenues 9 and 10, we see a massive culvert that was actually completed this year. I believe that they were working on this culvert last year when I documented this project. So again, it's good to see that work is definitely moving forward, even if COVID-19 did slow down progress on this project. Here is the Avenue 10 grade separation, which is complete and open to traffic. So here we see some high voltage transmission lines, and I would imagine that a couple of these poles will probably have to be realigned to cross the high-speed rail tracks at a 90-degree angle, like we see just north of the Avenue 12 grade separation just ahead. I would imagine that PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, probably has their hands full. I know that in addition to several relocation projects across the high-speed rail alignment, they've also got their hands full with several forest fires that have been started by their aging infrastructure, so I'm sure that they are probably moving about as fast as they can. Here at Avenue 12, we can see this grade separation is complete and open to traffic, although it has not been officially ticked off the active projects list. Avenue 12 grade separation is much larger than most grade separations because the high-speed rail tracks and the BNSF tracks are so far apart at this point, and it is a 4-lane road instead of the normal 2-lane road, which I believe was a change order based on probably county requirements or something like that. So just north of Avenue 12, we can see some new high-voltage transmission lines crossing perpendicular to the high-speed rail tracks. So I believe that we will see something similar to that just south of Avenue 12. Approximately this location is the site of the future planned Madera high-speed rail station. If this station is built, the existing Amtrak station in Madero Acres will be closed and will be relocated to a new station along the BNSF here to act as an interchange point with the San Joaquins and high-speed rail. Obviously, this may not be the most ideal location for a high-speed rail station, as we are pretty much in the middle of nowhere, but just about a mile west of here is Madera Community College, and this area may, in fact, one day be developed. Going forward, just kind of remains to be seen. Like I said, this station may not actually even open. So just south of the Cottonwood Creek Viaduct, we see some completed intrusion protection barrier walls, and you can see that these walls are very substantial. I don't know exactly how wide they are, but they appear to be probably like 4 to 5 feet thick, and obviously they're designed to stop derailing freight cars, which obviously have a massive amount of energy in them. The Cottonwood Creek Viaduct was actually one of the first projects to be completed on Construction Package 1, and just north of the viaduct we see an under construction drainage culvert as well as some sections of intrusion protection barrier walls. So you can see that the way these walls are built, concrete pilings are dug into the ground, and those pilings extend above ground, and the pilings are encased in further rebar and finally encased in final concrete. The wall is broken up at points where the drainage canals exist to allow wildlife and water to pass under the high-speed rail alignment. Here we have the completed Avenue 15 grade separation, which is open to traffic, and as we spin around to the west, we can see some more of those circular patterns have been incorporated into the barrier wall design. Here at the small town of Story, California, we see the Avenue 15.5 grade separation. Avenue 15.5 has been closed to through traffic, and Road 29 has also been temporarily closed. I'm not exactly sure how this intersection is going to be built. I'm sure that Road 29 will be substantially rerouted to run into Avenue 15 and a half, probably about that location. And on the west side of the high-speed rail and BNSF tracks, we will see that Road 29 will also likely be rerouted on this side as well. So here we have one of the most iconic structures on the entire project, and this is the Fresno River Viaduct, which was the first project to begin construction on the entire high-speed rail program. Although the viaduct was completed in 2018, we can see intrusion protection barrier walls are being built on the north end to tie into the raised embankment structure. And at this point, we're going to transition to some non-4K drone footage because I only have 5 batteries for my drone, and the individual drone flights last between 20 and 25 minutes. So even though I was continuously charging them while shooting all this footage, I kept running out of batteries, so I had to fall back onto my old drone. But rest assured, this footage was shot in 2021 because when I was here last year, none of these barrier walls were even to the state that they're in currently. Can see that the footings have all been installed, and several of the column rebar cages extend above ground, and I'm sure that they will be finished off here before too long. So just ahead we have the most recent project to be completed on construction package 1, and that is the Road 27 grade separation. Now you might have heard about this bridge because it was actually hasn't been completely smooth sailing. Last year some steel cables that were used to tension the precast concrete girders actually snapped during construction, and of course that made the news in the Los Angeles Times, where everybody's favorite pro high-speed rail author used it as evidence of the high-speed rail's oversight program not being adequate. But of course we can see that the bridge is now complete, and even though it wasn't open to traffic when this footage was shot in early August, the bridge opened in August 20th, 2021, and I'm sure everybody involved is happy to see that. So here we are back to the 4K footage from my new drone, and you can see that the right-of-way north of here has been cleared. There were some houses in this area which have been acquired by the High-Speed Rail Authority and removed. So just south of Road 26, we see the location of where another drainage culvert is going to have to be built, and it doesn't appear that there has been any work done on the Road 26 grade separation. Road 26 will be replaced with a bridge to carry, obviously, traffic over the BNSF and high-speed rail tracks, and I don't believe that there will be any major impacts on the existing Amtrak station. Like I said, this station is going to remain in service for San Joaquin use until a new station is built, if and when, south of Madera. So here we have another area where some houses had to be bought and removed, and this is along Hanover Drive. Hanover Drive, you can see will be realigned off to the left, and it appears that there is some utility relocation ongoing for that project. So this pretty much takes us to the end of Construction Package 1 at Avenue 19. The high-speed rail tracks will eventually extend northwest of here and diverge from the BNSF tracks at this point and travel approximately 20 miles northwest to the Chowchilla Y. From the Chowchilla Y, high-speed trains will be able to travel west towards the Bay Area or travel north towards Merced and eventually Sacramento once Phase 2 is built out of this project. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see the other videos that are coming out in this series, make sure you subscribe. And if you're interested, you can check out my Patreon. The link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you all soon.